Hi, everyone, and welcome to Live Learning. Today we have Felicity Kay, and I'm going to let her introduce herself in a minute. I'm Cali from Make Your Mark. I do websites, and I try to do content creation, so I'm really excited to learn from Felicity today, and I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Thank you, Cali. It's lovely to meet you. So I'm Felicity Kay. I am the content expert. I established and scaled my very own content agency about 3 or 4 years ago. And basically it was working with enterprise clients, like big international companies here in the US and the UK. And then I realized that by doing that, I was basically not helping the people who probably needed it most. I was being paid all the money, great, but there was so much more that I could do with entrepreneurs, with freelance writers. I could teach them to establish their own businesses, to manage their own businesses, but also to grow their businesses through content. So basically that's what I do today. I run my content agency, and I also run my Felicity Kay content expert stuff, which is like courses, mentoring, you name it, I can probably do it. And the idea is that if I can save anyone from making the ridiculously time expensive and money expensive mistakes that I did, then everything would have been worth it.
That's awesome. Okay, let's just jump right in.
Okay.
So how and when did you realize that you were a great writer?
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's actually a bit of a weird story. When I was a kid, I was apparently childhood. I had childhood epilepsy. So my mom put me on, this is the weirdest story. My mom put me on these super heavy drugs that basically completely I was stoned up until I was 8 years old. So I couldn't really speak. I just had, I've got massive eyes, but they were the size of my face. I just walk around like I was, like an alien. I've seen the footage. It's insane. But because I was very kind of slow in thinking, I couldn't really speak. So I used to express myself through writing. And from the second that I could write, I used to write down the craziest stories. And when I was about I think 5 or 6 years old, I remember my dad was reading something I'd written. He was like, what is this? Where has this come from? And he didn't believe it was me because I was basically so stoned. So I think reflecting back on that was the moment I realized that I had some kind of potential. But it probably when I was, I think 15, I was published for the first time in an academic journal. And I was the youngest person who'd ever been published. Yeah, I was, a bit pushy, I guess. And then when I was taken on board as a journalist at a London newspaper for the gay community. Yeah, so I kind of thought, oh wow, yeah, these people think I'm cool enough to do this. Why not? Yeah.
Wow.
It was a crazy story.
So really, from the time you were young, it just it actually came more naturally to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people who they have a blockage, a communication blockage, they make fantastic writers because they've literally got all these ideas bubbling up inside them, and there's only one way out. Some people, I say this all the time to my students, you can learn to be a good writer. There's nothing particularly specific stopping you. It's just knowing how to use the language. The only thing I would say the difference between creative writing and marketing writing is for creative writing, you obviously have to have a lot of motivation, a lot of ideas, a lot of stuff bubbling up because, the source material has to be from you. But, for marketing writing, it's pretty easy to learn.
All right. So I guess that leads to the next question. Do people still read blogs, website content, social media posts, or are they more focused on videos?
So 100% yes, they're still reading. I mean, even if the average attention span has massively gone down in the past decade or so, people love videos. Personally, I don't, but people also love the written word. Now, not just that, but it's very, very important that you have literally a content strategy that includes the written word and long form stuff. And that is because SEO. SEO is good. SEO is a fantastic longer term strategy. It doesn't happen overnight, but without literally having words everywhere, you're not going to have an SEO strategy. So videos are really good, for a user experience and user engagement. But when it comes to actually getting people, for the long term onto your pages, into your websites, it's really SEO that you need. And that's where the longer form content comes in. And not everyone likes video. I get annoyed by videos.
Yeah. We always tell people, like, you know, in order for Google to like really have a grip of who you are and what you do and like who you're trying to market to, there has to be words because it's a computer. Like
Yeah.
and it has to be like constant. You have to be changing things. You have to have new things. You have to really be like hitting these words over and over again. And without a content strategy, it's really, really hard. It's really hard.
But you know what, you've hit on something there. I think there is definitely, you know, like people are in the YouTube and the video camp, and people are in the blog and long form camp. I think you can have both, and I've seen it done really, really effectively. But the thing is that you need to make sure that, you know, if you have a video, you have like a transcription of it, because then you can have the words, you can have the keywords, and that someone like you can watch a video and be like, oh, this is a cool video, and then someone like me, like let's say, can read the script and be like, oh, cool, cool, cool. Like I don't have to waste 20 minutes watching the video when I can just skim through the content, you know?
Right.
Like the best of both.
Yeah, it's as a business owner, how do you find your brand voice?
So I'll answer as myself, and I'll answer for my the people that I teach, my students. So for me as a business owner, I found my brand voice by literally just talking it out. Now, I'm not someone who likes speaking a lot. Like I've already said, my whole thing is writing. I like, you know, if I can get away with having a whole text conversation instead of like a phone conversation, I'll do it, you know, to the point that people are like, what's wrong with you? I'm a writer. So for me, actually just freeing up the ability to speak, because, you know, I write very, very differently to how I speak, and just learning how I spoke. It sounds crazy, but that made me completely like find the brand voice. I saw kind of like the way I simplified stuff, or how I ran on tangents, and I came up with these weird, crazy asides, like Family Guy. You know how they have those random cutaways?
Yeah,
That's how my brain works. Like insane, like tangentializations. I think that's the word. Tangents. You know. So that was me. Like I was down to earth. I was a bit funny. I was a bit quirky, and that was me, like in a nutshell. But also educational. Now, for students of mine who are looking for their brand voice, I tell them first to write down what they think, and then to speak it out, to talk about it. You know, they can record themselves. They can talk to friends about it, what they want their brands to be. They can look at other brands and say anything, however basic, about the stuff that they like. So, you know, it could be, oh, that's a nice color. That's a good pink. I like that font. I'm not sure why, but I like it. Anything. And then from there, you can build a much bigger picture, obviously using the words that they say and everything into how to build a brand. But it's, you know, it's not as simple as saying I'm this, I'm that. It's much more kind of like a holistic thing. But that's where I would start.
Yeah. I know when we were building the Make Your Mark brand, like Jordana had asked people, like we had asked people, you know, like what are we like? Like what are some words you would pick to describe us? And it really it helps you, like, you know, sometimes it's hard to see yourself, and just having a little bit of an outside opinion can really make a big difference.
Oh, 100%.
Get you off on like a totally different track.
Completely. But like, you know, we're talking about small business owners here. We're not talking about like massive corporations. And actually, I have helped massive corporations rebrand like quite a few times, actually. Even up until like a month ago, I did one. And that's why people lose their way. They don't know who they are and what they're trying to say. So actually, as a small business owner, it's so much easier. You know, you can ask other people, you can look at yourself, you can talk to yourself or someone else, or you just ask other people. That's a fantastic shortcut.
What are some of your top tips for creating compelling website copy?
Okay, so the first thing is don't be boring. A lot of people, this is where the whole thing about saying things out loud comes in. Most people, when they're told to write their websites, they start like writing the longest, most boring stuff you've ever seen. And it's like, if that's boring for you and I can feel that it was painful to write, I'm not going to want to read that. And that's completely not the point. So don't be boring. So if you're not feeling it, don't do it. Get someone else to maybe help you or like give you some ideas or whatever. The second thing is keep it short. People are on a website to buy or sign up or do whatever the action is that you want them to take. Now, the biggest mistake people make is writing like a lot of stuff. They're like, oh, I've got to explain everything, who I am and what this product is and where it comes from and like with the service. And no. Like take it down a notch. Your idea is like you want people to do the thing you want them to do. So sign up, okay? You don't want to distract them and bog them down with like insane amounts of detail about things that actually they don't care about. You know, it has to be very, very tailored. Like that's the whole thing about copywriting, is it's writing for sales. It's saying a lot of stuff in a very, very small amount. And that's where people go crazy. So I'd say, don't be boring, keep it short. Get someone else to look at it, you know?
Yeah.
Think, what would I want to read? And then write that. Or, you know, a really like short way of doing things, like a massive shortcut, is look at how your competitors have done it. Don't copy it, that's terrible. But like just get some ideas of like how they're doing it. And then obviously add, you know, your own USP or unique selling point and everything. You know, you can take tips just as long as you don't copy. That's terrible. Oh God, that's really bad. No, you can never copy anyone else's stuff. But basically that, yeah. Look at how other people do it. Try.
Awesome. And how do you find that like balancing SEO with that shorter website content? Sorry about that. Like comes into play, because some people are worried. They're like, maybe this isn't enough content on a page. Like, how do you balance that?
That is something that every business owner, every company, every enterprise company I've worked with has asked. It's very, very tricky. Basically what they do is they keep the website short and sweet, and then they hide SEO stuff elsewhere. So there are things like you know, the fold. I mean, obviously you know with the fold, like the fold is basically the last section that you can see on the screen.
Right. The footer. The footer.
Yeah, no, the fold like basically everything you see in one screen. And then the footer is like right at the bottom. So what they do is they add a lot of text underneath the footer so that it's like, I don't know, 1,000 words, 500 words maybe, filled with relevant content, not just stuffing keywords, just like, you know, relevant content with some nicely strewn keywords in and everything. That's one way. Another thing is to use your headings very, very carefully and put some keywords in there. Very effective. Even using a keyword like a few times on the page, that will help your SEO massively. Another thing that you probably know, Cali, you know, making sure your website has the correct flow. It makes sense for a user because you've got to write, but also, you know, optimize for Google. I mean, and otherwise people, you know, they hide, I was about to say hashtags, keywords everywhere, like in the alt tags of the images, in the meta description. I would say that's the easiest way to get ranked, like meta description, right meta tag, you know, in the footer, like deploying your content very, very carefully with keywords and making it relevant, even if it's like tiny bits of content.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Good question. Everyone's struggling with it.
Yeah, and we should mention that if anybody watching has questions, just drop them in the comments. We can go over them. We have a couple.
Yes, repurposing content. Should we talk quickly about repurposing content?
Sure,
yeah,
that'd be great.
Cool. So basically, a lot of people have this idea that they need to keep creating content over and over and over again. So like, you know, they need to create like 100 different new things in a month or whatever. But the thing is most people, like, okay, it sounds horrible, but this is something I keep saying to everyone. No one, maybe apart from you, maybe your mother, but not even, will see your content. It's just how it is. So basically, it's very easy to take something you've done already, either like archive it and then repost it, or you can repurpose it. And that's what Jordana is talking about. So taking something that you know has been really good and basically doing it again in a different way. So for example, what I do with my clients and for my sites is I have like a blog post, okay? And I might have like 5 different campaigns leading to this blog post, or like 5 different social posts, or I might make it into an infographic, you know, so the same information just like packaged in a different way. Or I might make it into a landing page, or I might make it into an ebook, or like a video, or like 100 different things. It's like you just keep using the same ideas, putting them in different ways. And that's very important as a business owner too, by the way, and for your SEO, because you're strengthening the one thing that you know really, really works, while also using it to like attract different customers. It's like what we were saying before about the video and the blog. Like I'm not into videos at all. Other people are. So I'm not just going to throw blogs out there because people, you know, half the people will be like, what's this?
Right.
You know, like another potential stream of whatchamacallit, of potential watchers.
Right.
Yep.
It's true.
Yep.
Missed opportunities.
Exactly.
Okay. What's the most common mistake you see business owners make with content on their website?
How can I say this politely? It's bad. I didn't say that politely. I just said it slightly less rudely. Yeah, it's okay. My accent, I get away with a lot. So
I'm sure.
yeah, what I would say is that a lot of business owners, like I said, they make the same mistakes that I've seen so many people and massive enterprises using too. They write too much. They write boring stuff, and like they just don't think. I mean, look, it's something that we're all guilty of. Okay, the second that you do something for yourself, it messes you up. You know, it's like you've got a brain freeze. I mean, for example, like I write all day, every day for other people. When it came to doing my website, it took me weeks. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Spoken, the blogs, you know, I knew exactly what I was meant to do because I literally do it all day, every day for other people. And then I was like, oh my God, like I can't do this. You know, so I just had to kind of like get out of my head a bit and just like think, right, if I was my client, what would I be telling them to do? And then I was like, oh, I just like kicked myself up the bum and I did it. And that is basically the problem with business owners. It's like you can see that they've like, it's really painful for them to write because they're trying so hard to explain basically their baby, you know, their business is their baby. So it's like, yeah, like, you know, if I don't explain this product specifically, exactly right. And you don't want to like, God, this is going to sound awful, but kill or ruin the baby. You want to make sure it's like, you know, raised properly and long lasting and everything. So they really like hurt their brains trying to get it all down on paper when really if they just relaxed a bit, like did a bit of research, see how other people do it, shorten the content, make it more enticing, use more active language, like they would be fine. But that's basically the most common mistake. It's usually bad content. Sorry.
Yeah. Bad, long.
Boring.
What should business owners keep in mind when writing social media posts?
Make it interesting and make it about the person reading. Okay, social media is social. It means it's all about people. And also you're fighting so much with so many other things and people and stuff and God knows what else. So the most common mistake I see with social media is everyone's talking about themselves. It's like, oh, here's this cool thing I did. Isn't it amazing? And it's not right. Obviously, you have to talk about yourself because you're promoting yourself, but you need to do it very skillfully where you're talking about other people. So it's not just about, wow, look at this. This is amazing. How amazing am I? It's, oh my gosh, I learned this thing. And now you can all learn it too. You know, it's all about how I'm related to it and I can use it to make your life better.
Right.
It's always got to reflect back on the person. And that is the biggest mistake I see. I think another thing is keep to the platform that you're writing for. So for example, every week I repurpose content across Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Now, those are three very, very, very different platforms. You know, even though Facebook and Instagram are technically the same, the audience and the interaction style, they're very, very different. Even the character limits, you know, Facebook, I think it's up to like 500 characters. No, that's not right. I can't remember. I've got it written down somewhere, but Instagram is up to like 2,200 characters. And LinkedIn is up to like 700. Yeah. So I can elaborate a lot on Instagram, which people love. But on Facebook, I have to keep it like way shorter, you know, but on LinkedIn, I have to make it much more like succinct and business related. So it's basically taking this one thing, like we said before, like Jordana asked, and smushing it into the right format. And that's something that people don't understand. They usually like, oh, here's a post I've written and I've sweated over for half an hour. I'll just shove that on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and God knows what else and see what happens. And it's like, no, take an extra 5 minutes, make it the right format, put the right size image, use your hashtags or whatever else you're using. Now everyone uses hashtags across all platforms. And use your character allowance if you've got it, you know?
Yeah.
Sorry, I ranted a bit there. I'll take another sip.
No, it's good. I remember I read a book, like I think it's called like Story Brand. It was like a big thing. Everyone was reading it. And the guy explains how Apple was like the first brand to really flip like technology on its head and talk about why the user would be using it. Whereas before, like Microsoft, they were like using code and they're like, this is really cool. And they're using all this geeky language. And like the average person is like, I don't know how this relates to my life and I don't really want to like enter this. Whereas like Apple, it showed it like being used by teachers and being used by designers, and it like flipped it on its head on like, this is how it makes your life better. And that was like the first time that I had read like a marketing book that I was like, oh my gosh, that's a huge difference when you have your marketing copy like centered at your target audience instead of like your business. Like it's a huge difference, and you can really pull that into like everything.
Completely. It's insane. Like if you think about it, like it's just a mindset shift. There we go. You know, but it's something that's very powerful. So like you said, Microsoft and Apple, you know, the way that, do you remember those I'm a PC, I'm an Apple, those ads, basically that, you know, the PC is for the funny buddies like me, you know, et cetera, and the Mac is like, I'm a shiny cool Mac, I've learned how to do marketing properly, you know. Completely.
All right, what's the difference between writing for your website and social media? Kind of a little.
Good question. Writing for a website is usually a bit more of a sale, because think about it. No, I mean, unless someone is like really like into whatever you're selling, like they're a really warm lead, they're probably not going to go directly to a website. They're probably going to get there via like a social media campaign, a pay-per-click campaign, God knows what. Okay, so writing for social media has to be, like we just said, much more about the user, much more about like, you know, what you can give them, but also less salesy. You know, it has to tone it down a little bit, because you're competing for so much attention. Like there's a lot of stuff going on social media, so you need to make it much more relevant and less of a soft sell. Like I don't know anyone who has read a social media post where it's been like selling the crap out of itself, and they're like, yeah, that looks great, I'm going to click that. You know, it's always like, oh, you know, here's what I can give you. Like, you know, maybe you'd like to try this. And then they click through. It's another step in the funnel. And then they land on a landing page or a website or whatever. And it's a little bit more of a push. You know, you're warming up the lead as they go. But also the website, remember, it has to also be about whatever you're selling. It still has to be about the person. It's just a little bit like, it's a slightly different way of writing. You know, it's much more kind of informational, while social media is much more kind of like conversational, chiller, you know.
Right.
They should basically be in the same brand voice. That's a problem. That's what I see with business owners, especially if they outsource stuff. They have one person doing one thing, another person doing one thing, like even if that's themselves, and there's like no kind of place where they meet in the middle, and it's very jarring, you know. This is all it's weird. It's like, that's when people click out, by the way. They're like, what is this? I didn't like this.
Is this the same place?
Yeah, exactly.
What kind of practices, exercise would you suggest to people who are trying to become better writers?
Read. Reading is the key to life. Obviously, I say this as an ex-English teacher. It's very important. But it's not just that. It's like, you can read anything. It could be a magazine. It could be like, you know, what do you call it? Like a script. It could be other websites. Just seeing different things gives you access to so much material, you know, and so much inspiration. You never really know where the inspiration will come from. So reading is really important. Another, like, this is like the biggest cop out, basically. Writing. Okay, I read this quote the other day, something like, what was it? It was something I saw from, I'm in this like all these writers groups, and it was basically like, he called it the emotional drain pipe, I think. And basically he says that, like, you know, your writing is like a backed up drain. Okay, and in order to get it like going smoothly, you need to get rid of all the crap in the drain. He said it a bit more like ruder, but yeah, like, you know, get rid of the blockage. Just start writing crap. You know, even if it's crap, just get your fingers moving. And then after a while, you'll be like, oh, okay, I've got rid of all the crap. I can literally now just write the good stuff. And like that changed my mindset like completely, because I've been writing professionally for like, you know, like 17 years. It's insane. And I've never once done that. I've always just suffered through it. You know what I mean? So that's really important, like clearing the crap, getting the bad first draft out. And then, you know, sometimes there's something you can, you know, pick up from their little nugget or a sentence or whatever. But like just getting yourself accustomed to the writing, feeling comfortable. Because like I said, that's where all the painful, like buy my stuff, like comes from. And it's just horrible as a user, as a writer, as everything. Like, I can feel the pain.
Yeah.
You know, no one likes that. Did I answer the question? I don't even know. Yes, I did. Fine.
Yes, you did.
I
think that that's so important because we have so many people that, say like, I don't like selling myself. And it's so hard because like on one hand, you're like, yes, like I know. And on the other hand, it's like, yeah, but you're a business and you have to. But it's really like, it's coming up with that balance of saying, what can you give to your audience and like be useful and be helpful while at the same time saying like, this is what I provide and I can help you with. And
the thing is, sorry, go on.
No. And just that's where like the content comes in, and that's where it makes a huge difference. Like one way it can come across as like a sleazy salesman, and on the other hand, it's like, no, I'm here to help you, and this is how I can help you.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are two things here. Number one, like my mom says, if you don't ask, you don't get. Okay, if you don't explain clearly what you do, no one is gonna, you're gonna be sitting there like all frustrated and like, oh, why does no one like me? And why is no one choosing me? If you don't explain and you don't ask, you're not gonna get. That's one.
Yeah.
Number two is most of these people who don't like selling themselves, it's because, they're shy or, it's just awkward, especially for like Western women like us. Like it's terrifying to stand up and be like, hey, everyone should pay me to do this. But I think when it comes to that kind of stuff, you need to make it very, very clear about the value you bring. So you're not just talking about like, okay, for me, for example, I don't tell people. I teach entrepreneurs and freelance writers how to run their business properly and make more money. Sorry, I did at the beginning of this thing. But when I talk to people, I don't say, I'll teach you how to run your business properly. Like some people might be attracted by that, but actually if you tell them in different ways, like I'll teach you how to profit more while not working harder, not doing anything else. You can make more profit, but not actually have to work any harder. That's very attractive. Yeah. Or I'll say, I'll teach you how to, what did I say the other day? It really lit a fire under some people. How to write better content so that your business can run on autopilot.
Cool. That's a good one.
Yeah. If you get it right. I mean, look, it takes hard work and everything, but if you get it right, that's the end goal. No one sits there, during the day, at the end of the day thinking, oh, I wish I could just work a little bit more. Like, oh, I wish I could like work a bit harder on my business. No, you want something that you build, you put your effort into it, and then you leave it and it just like generates you income. That's the dream, I think. Is for me. Is that your dream? Probably, right? Yeah. I do other stuff. Actually, that's where my second business came from. It's where Felicity Kay came from. It's because I automated all this content so much. Awesome. People thought I was a robot. It was really funny.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I thought it was cool, but everyone was like, oh, you need to kind of like unautomate it a little bit, like deautomate it so that people know.
You needed to see a little bit more of you.
You needed to be a bit more human. So we did.
That's awesome. And can you just explain the difference between your two businesses really quick?
So all this content, it's a content agency, content marketing strategy, and content strategy for businesses, for like big businesses, like enterprise, medium level businesses. So basically it's pretty pricey to hire us, is what I'm saying. But like we work very, very hard with our clients to make sure that like everything is like as it should be, it's like the best of the best. Mm-hmm. But the people who actually need help, the entrepreneurs, the freelance writers, the ones who need to know how to like, scale their business, how to establish it, how to make more money. I realized that like as a teacher as well, I really wanted to help people, by writing stuff for like businesses. I'm not really changing the world, am I? No. I mean, sometimes I write like life-saving stuff, like, how to save a life in case of like hypothermia or something. That was cool. But, it's the people who probably could use the help that I want to work with. So I was like, right, I've automated that. I don't really need to be so present in that anymore with all this content. I was like, right, I'm going to teach people how to do this properly using all the mistakes that I made. And that's what it is. It's basically training, entrepreneurs and freelance writers how to do it properly, how to write content, how to scale a business, etc., etc. Not automate it too much, stay human,
That's very cool.
I thought other people thought it was weird, but thank you, Cali.
Thank you so much for taking the time tonight to come on and answer our questions. And
I was just about to say, we got through the whole thing without any dogs or any cats, and then this one's just come to say hello.
Oh, she's much quieter than one of my babies.
Really? Well, there's also a dog, or I'm sure will wake up any minute, and there's another one who cries a lot. But yeah.
I think Bella is famous, no?
She is. She's actually over here somewhere. I'm sure gonna move a little bit. She's on the couch somewhere. Oh, she's flat out asleep.
She's like, leave me alone. I don't need to be part of your social.
She is. She's asleep.
Oh, living her best life.
Yep, she's exhausted after a long day at work. Bless her.
Well, it was great chatting and virtually meeting you.
You too.
Have a good night. Have a great week, everyone.
Good week to everyone.
Bye.
Bye.